but had never met. Ironically, Casey would often pray that God would bring us a child no one else wanted, a child who needed love and a family, but had little to no hope of either. Still, we both visualized that our son would be big, muscular, and Christmas card photo ready. Casey woke up one morning and discovered an email from someone she knew only through Facebook. The person asked if we were open to adopting a child with special needs. Casey wrote back asking for some clarification. We knew very little about special needs, but enough to understand it was a very, very broad term. Special needs could describe something as small as a missing finger or as big as needing constant in-depth care. Casey found out that the little boy in question had gangrene and needed surgery as soon as possible. After she shared the email with me, we both decided to take the next step of finding out more. Soon we received an email from the director of the children's home telling us more about him. This baby named Praise was severely malnourished and had a huge infection on his head. And then we saw his picture. Tiny, precious. We fell in love immediately. Could this be our hoped-for son? We asked for as much medical information as possible. What followed was a picture we'll never forget. On the first picture we received, his infection had been covered. Not on this one. When we viewed this picture, our stomachs dropped. We could hardly speak, and Casey began weeping. We prayed, hugged, prayed, cried, and prayed more. It was as if we both knew what God was clearly telling us to do. Even though we initially didn't want to admit it, we struggled with thoughts like, we can't handle this. This is going to be too hard. We have no clue what we're doing, what he needs, or how to take care of him. We certainly don't have time to take on something like this. After much information and even more prayer, we decided this sweet tiny boy was indeed our son, the one we had been praying for all along. Okay, we can handle this after all, we thought. We're ministry leaders, which means we have a huge S on our chest for being super Christians, right? Casey and I traveled to Uganda to complete the legal process to adopt. When we met our son, whom we named Titus, we could tell he was developmentally delayed, but we attributed this to him being in the hospital his entire life. As time went by, we began to sense something more going on than we initially were told. Upon our return, Casey made an appointment for us to see an international adoption doctor. One of the things we had noticed in Uganda was that our son was very stiff. He also had some spells of jumping and jerking. We explained all this to the doctor, and he admitted Titus for observation. What was initially supposed to be one night turned into 4. During this stay, we learned that there was much more going on with our son and that our suspicions were correct. The short version is that Titus was experiencing seizures, a lot of seizures. At the time, he was having over 20 a day. He also had some trauma to his brain, and it wasn't quite the size it should have been for a 7-month-old son. The doctors couldn't give us any clear picture of what his life would be like. Would he catch up? Would he walk? Would he talk? These were answers we desperately wanted, but they were answers the doctor could not provide. One day his doctors came into the hospital room, shut the door, turned off the television, and said they needed to talk. That day our life changed forever. We sat in shock while our son was diagnosed with epilepsy and cerebral palsy. Most likely he'll always be in a wheelchair. We won't ever get to play catch with him or see him run up and down a hill, and we'll never be empty nesters. Lord, what are you doing? This is not what we asked for, nor is this what we agreed to. Right, God? We had an agreement. After all, we're doing something spiritual here. We're caring for orphans like you commanded. This was your idea. We're being obedient, unlike other superficial Christians. Come on, God. We're probably your favorite pastor and pastor's wife. So you should honor our wishes and our good and perfect plan for our lives. We can't handle this. A most dangerous game. Over the next year of constant doctor's appointments, an MRI, an EEG, and 3 surgeries, we fell into a routine, almost a kind of game. It was a game of convincing everyone around us that we were okay. In fact, hey, we were doing great. Casey turned inward, and I hid in busyness. We kept it spiritual and repeated lies to ourselves that sounded very Christian. We told everyone, God won't give us more than we can handle. We just need to work harder and try to have more faith. But we were playing a most dangerous game. Casey was sad, angry, and even bitter. I was aloof